Slapping gums at each other. Any chance they get. The fight clock is brought to you by Modelo. One of the greatest knockouts you'll ever see. It's time
for you to sit back, relax, and listen to a complete and fucking utter armchair expert give his completely and utterly useless opinions on the one hell of an amazing sport that is MMA.
400% growth, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We are up to episode 5. Can we believe that? Let's just give ourselves a clap, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we're up to episode 5 already. And boy, oh boy, do we have an action-packed episode for you, because this upcoming UFC card, UFC 274, is one not to be missed. Let me tell you that, ladies and gentlemen. We have 3 mega fights on the card. 2 title fights. And, of course, Tony Ferguson versus Michael Chandler. But, of course, the main event, Justin Gaethje versus Charles Oliveira. Gaethje finally getting his chance at the title, which a lot of people have been wanting for him. Yes, this card is not one to be missed, ladies and gentlemen. After I get done recording this podcast, as a matter of fact, I'm going to go watch the press conference. So, of course, what are we doing? We're going to do what we always do. We're going to evaluate the main event of the cards. Oh, this card, because there's not more than one. But actually, I do want to talk about something else as well. Weili Zhang versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, I probably did. It's the rematch, ladies and gentlemen, from that infamous UFC 248 fight of the year. We're getting it on the next UFC card, UFC 275. That one will be one to not miss either, I guarantee it. But all that and more when we come back from this short breather and break. UFC 274, Footprint Center in Pheonix, Arizona, Saturday, May 7th or Sunday, May 8th in Australia, 2022. It, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a card that you do not want to miss. So, let's get into the main card, shall we? Or the main 3 fights of the card. And what I think will happen in them. Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson. 2 very hard hitters who could take punishment. I mean, just look at Gaethje versus Chandler. Arguable fight of the year, really. That's one of those fights where Dana just says, put him in the ambulance, they're going to hospital. I love Tony, but there's no nice way of saying it. I'm backing him. I'm backing Chandler in this fight. I'm very surprised Tony didn't try and pull out somehow, although I know he's not one to do that, but he would have to surely know that he has got not much of a chance of winning this fight. Look, I mean, I guess anyone's got a puncher's chance, but like I said, I love Tony. I was always really sad when the Khabib fights never happened, and I was doubly sad when he got smashed by Justin. But let's face it, Tony's on the back end of his career. This is probably really just a couple more last chances in the spotlight before he gets, probably shown the door, let's be honest. If they can, I mean, I know obviously Anderson's a lot older, but if they can, move Anderson and Dos Santos and Overeem and whatnot out, it's an indication that the roster's getting a lot younger. So, why would they keep a guy like Ferguson around, even though he is somewhat of a big deal? But yeah, I'm backing Chandler in that one, and I reckon he probably, you would think he'd be at very least one fight away from another title shot. if he manages to beat Tony, which I think he will. So that'll be good. Now we've got Thug Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza. Or Carla Esparza, sorry. I mispronounced that name. For the strawweight women's title. Look, I'm backing Thug Rose in that one. She managed to, of course, take the belt off Weili, which I think just shocked a lot of people. Weili will get it back, mind you. We'll talk about her later on. But yeah, I'm backing Thug Rose in that one. I can't really say too much about that fight because I don't know too much about the other fighters. So yeah, I'm backing Thug Rose in that one. And now we have the main event that everyone's talking about. For the lightweight title, the 155 division title, which of course is the same division Chandler and Ferguson are in. So that's why I said if Chandler wins, he'd either get to a title shot or you'd think, one fight away from a title shot. For the 155 title, we have Charles Do Bronx Oliveira versus Justin, the heavy hitter, because I don't know his nickname. I'll find out on Sunday, I guess. Gaethje. Look, my dad wants to see Justin win because he likes, he's one of those guys that, doesn't like anything staying with anyone for a while, and I can't say I blame him with that. He reckons Justin's got a puncher's chance of winning, which of course he does. If Charles tries to stand up with Justin, I think he's getting, he's at very least getting rocked, you would think. But if Justin goes to the wrestling, which he probably should do, and the BJJ, sorry, did I say Justin goes to the wrestling? I mean fucking Charles goes to the wrestling. If Charles goes to the wrestling in BJJ, you would think it's probably Charles by subs. So I'm backing Charles. But of course I'll be happy if Justin wins because I have thought for a long time that he deserved a shot. And being honest, if Charles does win, who really's got another chance of taking it off him? Maybe Chandler. Chandler maybe. Because he did nearly beat him for the title the first time. Maybe Islam. Other than that, I don't know. If neither of them beat him, I see Charles being dominant for a long time. Which, of course, is not a bad thing either because it, cements legacy and all that sort of stuff like Khabib. But, yeah, who knows? So they're my, albeit very short, predictions for this upcoming UFC 274, which is going to be a banger. And when we come back, let's talk a little bit about the upcoming fight card in Singapore, UFC 275, and the fight I'm so looking forward to that, the rematch between Weili and Joanna. And also, I want to talk very briefly about that infamous leaked UFC War Room picture of the apparent card they want for UFC 276, because I just remembered that as I turned off recording on the last one, that was another thing I wanted to talk about. So let's talk about, when we come back, UFC 275 in Singapore, and more particularly the rematch between Weili and Joanna. And also that UFC War Room picture. All that and more when we return from this short breather and break. So, UFC 275 in Singapore features the fight that I think the whole MMA world has been excited for a long time. And that is the rematch of the infamous fight of the year, UFC 248, which arguably single-handedly saved that card from the unfortunate abomination that was Izzy versus Yoel. Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. That will be a fight to not miss. That is going to be, you'd imagine, a bloodbath. And you would hope Weili's still got it after. I mean, you would think she does, because, God, she was just dominating before. But after that shock loss to Doug Rose, you would hope she's still got it. And if she's still got the killer instinct, which you'd hope she does, you know, you don't judge a fighter on one loss. I'm backing her against Joanna. I can remember just being so pumped when Weili beat her. Sorry, I got a chew in my mouth. I can remember just being so pumped when Weili beat her, because it was like, finally, it wiped a smile off her face. Like, because Joanna was one of them fighters that tried to be another Conor, but just didn't have it. Like, didn't have it at all. So I remember it was one of those few fights. It was like Conor versus Khabib. It was one of those few fights that I didn't see, but I fucking wish I did. I fucking wish I'd seen it. Like, oh, that fight live would have just been, wow. Yeah, I wish I'd seen that, but unfortunately I didn't get the chance to. But yeah, that is going to be one for the ages, you would think. I'm actually going to be at some point, probably after this card, purchasing Fight Pass again, and I will go back and watch a whole bunch of fights, that one included. Maybe we can do a little watch along here on the podcast. But yes, I'm so excited for that fight to happen. I don't know yet if I'm going to buy it or not, because the card, I'll be honest, I don't know. There's a few Aussie fights on there, but it doesn't look that interesting really, other than that fight to me. So I don't know yet if I'll buy it or not, but I'm keen for that fight. But that's not all I want to talk about, because we have, in a particular picture, which I'll get up, someone leaked a picture from the UFC War Room. I'm just going to put this chewy down because it's annoying me. Someone leaked a picture from the UFC War Room, which of course is, you know, you'd think Dana's office, the one where he does all the matchmaking, etc. I'll just see if I can find it, because my mate sent it to me. Yeah, he did. Hang on. And we'll go into what they want it to be. Okay. So this is in order. They want Sean O'Malley on the card against a fighter, I don't know who he is. They want Miesha Tate on the card, which that's big as well. They want Alex Pereira, who of course, as everyone knows, beat Izzy in a kickboxing fight, against Sean Strickland. Now, this is where it gets good. They want Khamzat against Nate Diaz. And they want Izzy versus Jared Cannonier. This is at UFC 276 in July in Vegas, which you'd imagine to be at T-Mobile Arena. That in itself's big, and you can see why they've tried to pack it out, because, you know, as we know, they like to pack house when they go to Vegas. Now, let me dissect two of those fights in particular. There's two fights in particular I want to talk... Well, actually, there's three fights I want to talk about. I want to talk about Pereira and Strickland. Pereira and Sean Strickland. That says to me one thing. Pereira will take the fight, 100%. I don't know about Strickland. But Pereira and Strickland, to me, says one thing. They're desperately trying to fast-track him because they really want to do the Izzy rematch. And I can't blame them for that, because everyone now knows that Pereira beat Izzy in a kickboxing match. So yeah, that's a big jump from where he was. So yeah, they're gonna fast track Pereira. You watch, he'll be coming up in the division, you'd imagine, and the next logical fight you'd think would have to be Izzy, because what else is there? But these are the two fights I particularly want to talk about. Khamzat versus Nate. Categorically tell you now that's not happening. I don't think Nate will take... Khamzat will do it, of course. I don't think Nate will do it. For multiple reasons. One, of course, he's been clamouring for the Dustin fight, which... who knows why that's not happening. I suppose they're different weight classes, aren't they? So it's a matter of going back down, maybe. I don't know. But... yeah, there's no way Nate would take a fight against Khamzat. No way. And plus, didn't Dana say Colby was next in line to fight Khamzat, although I guess Colby just got injured in the bar incident with Jorge. So I don't know what's going on there, but highly doubt that happens. Put it this way, I'd be very surprised if Nate took it. Put it that way. But the main event, obviously, for the 185 title, Izzy versus Jared, I think that will happen. One, because Izzy's the champ and he has to defend, and two, because Jared obviously called him out after his last fight, and, you know, that generates buzz, as always. So I think that'll happen. I think Strickland versus Pereira will happen, and as to the other fights, who knows? Khamzat versus Diaz is a very I don't know to me, because, like I said, Nate in the UFC, as has always seemed to be for the last however many years, don't seem to be on great terms at the moment. So quite honestly, I'd be very surprised if Nate took that fight. But other than that, I see the rest of that happening pretty much, and that is if that is the case. Yeah, that is going to be a good card. That'll be one to buy probably. But yeah, anyway, guys, that is episode 5 of MMA Quick Chat. Be sure to go buy UFC 274 because it's going to be one to not miss. UFC 275 will be a fight to not miss either, and possibly fights. It could be a good card. Who knows? But UFC 276, if that happens in that order, which you'd think most of it would, that's going to be a very good card too. So yeah, we're up for some interesting months, and of course we've heard a lot about which I believe I discussed in the last episode of, you know, John Jones and Conor coming back. So imagine if we get these good months of fights, and then of course in September or October Jones and Stipe and possibly Conor comes back. Wow, it's going to be an interesting year. But anyway, guys, that is episode 5. Looking forward to UFC 274. I'm going to be watching it. I hope you should be too. 275. Don't know about that yet, but I'm looking forward to Weili versus Joanna and UFC 276. That is going to be a buyer if that happens, which it probably will. But anyway, guys, I may do another episode in between the next fight card of... I might do that thing I said on the last one. You know, just evaluate a past card. Why not? We'll just pick any historic significant card out of the ring, and we'll just evaluate it. Why not? But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this one. Bit longer than most of my normal ones. Just evaluating a card, 18 minutes. But yeah, till next time, guys. Take it easy.